Guitar Players Planet. You see it in the papers, you read it every day. The riots and the fire going on in South LA. The muggers and the government, they're all wanting the same thing. They take you for your money, whatever else bring. And I don't think I understand why we're making such a fuss. And I don't think I understand what's come of all of us. And I don't think I understand why we take this world for granted. I just want to get right back to Guitar Players Planet. Take me.
See Simon and see Eric.
How you doing, buddy?
What's up? I don't know why you're not showing up. Hold on a second. I'm shutting off the volume for a second.
Guitar Players Planet. Guitar Players Planet. Guitar Players Planet. Guitar Players Planet. Guitar Players Planet.
There it is. Plus.
There we go. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if everybody else can hear me.
Oh. Hey. Oh, I'm gonna change the lighting around in here. Hold on. I need some mood lighting.
Oh no.
You gonna start some, soft music too there, Simon?
Can I?
Talk about mood lighting. Start playing some Kenny G then.
That's a bit better. Sticking that dirty, great big window behind me.
Yeah, it doesn't look like anybody could hear us, so that's good. What's up, guys? What's going on?
Hey, how are you doing?
Hello.
Long time no see, my friend.
Hey, I've been working, and every time you do these shows, I'm in the
Sleeping.
middle of my working day. No, I'm not Tyler. Alright, I'm not sleepy.
Now, Tyler's laying on his back with some codeine, so.
You should be. Sarah, should be.
I think I'm too loud.
So we're back in lockdown.
Yep.
Really?
I'm at home. Yep. Yeah, they got an outbreak of the Delta in Auckland.
Oh,
So,
God.
yeah. So we went. The government's approach here is not to mess around, but to go hard. So they shut the country down. So Tuesday they announced this at 3 o'clock in the afternoon that they got this COVID variant Delta in Auckland with one person, and by midnight we were in lockdown.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
What's pretty much the population of New Zealand as a whole?
It's just over 5 million now.
Okay.
So, yeah, Auckland's the biggest, about 1 million.
Yeah.
So what's your positivity over there?
Sorry, mate.
What's your positivity rate over there?
Oh, it's tiny because we just haven't had the cases because we've been we've been drawing up the bridges and hiding from the rest of the world. But we let the Australians back in, and now we're now we've got COVID again. So.
Of course.
Yeah. So yeah, it's fine. I don't know how long it'll be before. So I'm working from home. So I had a gap in my diary. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm sitting in front of my PC. I'll join the guys.
Nice.
I got something to show. So.
Well, yeah,
I got a message. I messaged the team yesterday and said, "Hey, I got a invite to talk about the Plus on AstroWorld TV," and they were like, "Yeah, you go ahead and talk about it. We're letting the information loose today." So.
Yeah, there was I guess what was it, last Wednesday? It looks like a picture leaked out on Facebook or something.
Sky and Telescope, man. They linked it ahead of when they said they were going to publish.
Oh yeah, it was all over the place.
And then they had a ton of information that was wrong.
Well,
So
the only thing that we saw was the antenna. That's the only thing that we saw. So we were like, we were having a little fun with it because, you know, we've all seen the Facebook the guy that kind of did the mock-up before that. And
oh yeah, that guy.
Yeah, we were like the one that said, "Don't do this unless you have, you're willing to void the warranty." But you know.
Yeah. I mean, there's been a few people sort of trying to modify it, but the Pi 4 is really hard because unlike the Pi 3, the Pi 3 actually had the socket on the board, the PCB pads for the socket. The Pi 4 doesn't. It's a ceramic antenna, and there is no connector. So to get an antenna connected to a Pi 4, you literally have to take surgery to the board, and that then invalidates the warranty. So the idea was not to publish this or to those who will invalidate the warranties are more than welcome to.
Yeah, sure.
But the Plus is not. The Plus is a different architecture. It's a Pi compute platform, so it has the compute motherboard and some nice little extra features, like you can access it via a USB-C. It has an external
mini SD?
micro SD card, but there's no SD card for the operating system anymore. So it has it all inbuilt and has a self-recovery tool. So if it corrupts itself or you have a problem, it will actually rebuild itself.
That way they just partition a little bit differently.
Yeah, I don't know. They've got some kind of special. And then there's 20 gigs of storage, eMMC storage on there as well. But you can also put the external SD card on there, the compact micro SD on there. But the whole thing has changed. There's all sorts of power monitoring and stuff like that in there as well. It's a much faster platform too. It's about 3 times the speed. And the application itself has had a major revamp. So 1.7's got lots of new features in, including online license approvals. So you authenticate the device, the license key actually authenticates the first time using an online server. So no more scanning QR codes and license key files and things like this in terms of rebuilding SD cards. So there's no need to rebuild SD cards, there's no need to mess around with license keys. I don't know why. So, so you can actually use it dual purpose, and it
I've seen a lot of bankers, and I've seen a lot of cops. I've seen a lot of lawyers pull out all of the stops. I've seen a lot of children with their parents in their hands. I've felt a lot of women who refuse to understand. Well, I don't think I understand why we're making such a fuss. And I don't think I understand what's come of all of us. And I don't think I understand why we take this world for granted. I just want to get right back to Guitar Players Planet. You see it in the papers, you read it every day. The riots and the fires going on in South LA. The muggers and the government, they're all wanting the same thing. They take you for your money and whatever else you bring. Well, I don't think I understand why we're making such a fuss. And I don't think I understand what's come of all of us. And I don't think I understand why we take this world for granted. I just want to get right back to Guitar Players Planet. Take me. Well, I don't think I understand why we're making such a fuss. And I don't think I understand what's come of all of us. And I don't think I understand why we take this world for granted. I just want to get right back to Guitar Players Planet. 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 Sunny skies, the smell of palm tree air. Looking back, I could never feel fair. The way the music has touched my soul, the way that the South holds its control. But I've got a new way to choose. I'm gonna start running back to the land of the new. Oh, na 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 na
Hello there. Good evening, everybody.
Hey.
We are
Weather.
only 8 minutes late. That's it. We're only 8 minutes. We're getting so much better at this. I mean, and like almost no audio problems at the beginning. We had a little issue. People were hearing what we were saying, but I fixed that. I'm still not used to this program. It's kind of like it's very involved, but it's really cool. So it works really well. So good evening. As you can see at the bottom row, we have a special guest coming from halfway across the world in New Zealand.
The bottom.
Oh yeah, down in the south.
The bottom.
Is in the south.
Way down under.
Yeah,
that's right.
And you know,
upside down.
Yeah, no, not
you
the
can see me clinging
down.
on.
This is not the upside
it's
down.
Real hard.
Upside
it's real
down
hard
is
to hold
Things.
on.
We have.
we don't want upside down.
Kiwi.
So we have.
Do you know many Kiwis, Eric? How many Kiwis do you know?
I know one.
I know.
There we go. Well,
That's
I'm
it.
your favorite one.
Just the one. And it's the one that comes and hangs out with us every once in a while. Simon Lewis, thank you for coming and hanging out with us because I know we got some new stuff that you're allowed to talk about.
I am now. Yeah,
and
that'd be cool.
Thanks
for the invite.
Yeah, absolutely. No, thanks for making it because you know what? I know you're on lockdown again and you're working from home, so you can kind of. That's why it's nice and bright in his background because it's
daytime here,
and it's
It's
tomorrow.
daytime Thursday.
That's right.
It's
1:09 p.m. in the future.
Yes, exactly. So just again, I always started off with a little housekeeping stuff. So I know Eric, you and I spoke, and I spoke with everybody who's been confirmed about going to Cherry Springs, about moving the original date, the star date. Instead of the last week in August, moving it to the first week in September, just because
Labor Day.
Yeah, that's the Labor Day weekend. So whatever the 4th, 5th, 6th, 3rd, 4th, 5th, whatever that Friday, Saturday, Sunday is, that's when we're gonna go up. So disregard the past 8 weeks of stuff that we've been saying. It's going to be that now the rain date will be the week after that, which would be the 9th, 10th, 11th, or 12th, 13th, whatever that weekend after Labor Day is.
And if that happens, sorry, I can't go because the kids will be in school.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. So we're really gonna pray for clear skies on Labor Day weekend, and
you've just kissed it. That's.
We're done. We're done. I know.
With him just doing that, we're cursed.
Yep, that's it.
I can't go now.
Screwed. But,
yeah. Tornadoes, hurricanes.
It won't be the first
tsunamis.
time that I went to Cherry Springs that I got chased out by a hurricane. So, yeah, I decided to go and said, it's gonna go south of us. Don't worry, be fine.
You see, you're not the only one who has crazy weather, because we get obviously we get typhoons, but we also got volcanoes. We also got earthquakes too, tsunamis. Nobody told me about this when I moved down here. It's only when I moved down here and somebody said, "Oh yeah, earthquakes. Yeah, we forgot to tell you about that."
Yeah, so when you kind of move to an island, you might want to do your research on what goes on in that part of the world. Cause
I clearly read all the tourist broches and went, "That's great.
Clearly.
That sounds like paradise."
Oh, I'm sure it is. I mean, it's got to be a lovely country. It's I've seen pictures.
It's one of the best countries in the world. They got some of the coolest stuff. They've got sheep. They've got hobbits. They've got kiwis.
Sheep, hobbit, and kiwis. That is Eric's top 3 right there for New Zealand.
That's right.
So,
yeah.
hairy feet and sweet fruit. That's what he's all about.
It sounds like a nice combination.
Yeah, always a good company.
I got good skies. That's the one thing I got going for me. When we get,
you do. Seriously.
Yeah, when New Zealand is its Maori name is Aotearoa, which is land of the long white cloud. But sometimes I think that should be land of the long persistent cloud.
Oh.
Well, it's an oceanic climate. You see, we live in the Pacific, and we're we're a few thousand kilometers from Australia. We're at 12,000 kilometers from the States, and only a few thousand kilometers from the Antarctic. So
Yeah, I was going
if
to
you
say
go down to
you're
this,
not far from the
yeah,
South Pole.
Yeah.
yeah, we're going. Yeah, so
I totally
you
forgot the
come up.
South Pole was there.
Hey, you guys are here. We got in Christchurch. We have the U.S. Antarctic Survey Team here. They run Operation Deep Freeze, which is the Antarctic resupply. So we get all the nice big aircraft flying out of here. You get the C-130s and C-17s and things like
Nice.
that flying out of here with the little skis on. So you see them coming back up to land with the skis.
That's awesome.
So
That's
yeah.
awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and we get Sophia as well. So Sophia is NASA's flying infrared astronomical observatory, and the big telescope in the
Yep.
back of the 747. So those guys come here every year, apart from this year and last year because of COVID. But
Yep.
they come to they come to our observatory and share a barbecue, and they share the s'mores with us.
Oh
That's
Yeah,
man.
awesome.
they're great. They're a real nice bunch. So yeah, we welcome them back time after time, which is real good to see them.
Yeah, that's all. That's awesome. That's awesome. So, so yeah, so the Cherry Springs. I know everybody's like asking about this wonderful new product that's coming out. Well, the update to a really good product. The ZWO AsiAIR Plus.
Mm.
Now, something squeaked out on the internet last week, and we actually mentioned it on the show because we were like, "Oh man!" And we poked some fun at ZWO. I got to be honest with you, but because we all know and we've all seen it, we've all seen the hack of the ZWO and the external Wi-Fi antenna because we all know that the challenges that the ASIAIR had with its internal Wi-Fi, either because of the casing or whatever,
Mm.
and some guy put a jack on and put an external antenna on it, and that's the picture that we saw. And I know you have a ton of more information for us to kind of layer on to that. So why don't you tell us what this is all about? Because we're all really interested about it.
So, like all product development teams, as soon as the ASI Air Pro went to market, the team were already thinking, well, what's next? What can we do next to improve things? And over the last years, I mean, I remember a few years ago when Sam from ZWO came to New Zealand, and we sat at, funnily enough, it's called Stardate. We sat here in New Zealand at one of our star parties with a pen and a paper, sitting in the sun, talking about a Raspberry Pi based telescope mounted computer. And that was the sort of birth of the ASI Air, and the original one using the Pi 3, but it was the standard sort of Pi case. And then, of course, as it's grown, we were talking about having a more robust mounting, having some DC distribution, etc. on it, and that's where the Pro came about. The challenge with the Pi 4 in the Pro is that unlike the 3, which had a connector on the board for an antenna, but it lived in a plastic case, the robust mounting of the Pro required an aluminium case, and unfortunately, despite us trying our best, that did limit the Wi-Fi distance, and that's where sort of people came out with additional extenders, etc.,
Mm-hmm.
to try and put the coverage back into it. And look, they work really, really well. There was no, we printed up little 3D brackets for them. There's the little TP Link one, and then there's the one that's actually ZWO cell as well. We did try some little Wi-Fi antennas, little USB dongles, but we didn't really get a lot of success with those. So that's where we then sat down and thought, well, okay, so what's next? And what you saw, I know there was a leak from one of the magazines in the States a week or two ago, where some pictures of it came out, but there was a lot of information, and that was also sort of incorrect. So we've been testing this for a little while, not that long, to be honest. So this is pretty hot off the press, and we've been obviously under an NDA and an embargo to talk about it in public. But I was given approval last night, at
Nice.
very short notice, to bring this along and to to
And
talk to
there
you
it
about it.
is.
So
There it
this is
is.
yep. So this is the ASIAIR Plus, and I thought I would bring this along. You can ask some questions about it and see what it's all about. So.
Yeah.
Um, one of some of the questions I've seen online is, well, maybe it's just a Pi with an antenna on it, and actually that's pretty much a long way from the truth. The Plus is a big step up in terms of performance, and also in terms of what's inside it. So this is now based on a Pi 4 compute platform. So it's a much faster processor. It has a lot more CPU available. I mean, if you look at what the original ASI Air was doing, and what the latest versions of the software do, they're leaps and bounds in terms of features. And
Yeah.
like all compute platforms, the more features you add, the more CPU you need, and eventually the amount of RAM, etc. And so we came up with Pro, and that added a lot of features, planning features, the polar alignment, and all of these, the video features, for example, so you could record planetary stuff on there. But these eat a lot of they eat a lot of power. So they obviously, one of the things that we were looking about was, well, what's next? So this has the compute platform in it. It's about 2.5, 3 times the speed. One thing that you'll know as soon as you turn this on and load the app, you'll notice that it really is very, very responsive and very, very quick. It's a little smaller physically than the other Pi. This one is a little thinner in terms of the height. It still has the little foot on it, so that you can mount it in the dovetail. It still has the power connectors. The one thing that you will notice on the power connectors is there's now some very, very dim LEDs. They're not bright. They actually are quite dim, and these will turn on and off as you turn the DC port on and off internally. It's the
So,
same.
can you turn
Sorry,
them
yeah, go ahead.
off
Yeah.
permanently or no? Is there a
No, well, they're on all the time. There's no sort of dark feature, but what we've done is made sure that they were really, really dim,
gotcha?
so that they don't stand out. It's the same power supply availability through these, so 3 amps per port, 6 amps across the same, across the four, and the ports themselves are still switched on and off. You still have the DC control in software, the same as you did with
Gotcha.
the Pro. What is new on this is that the software and the dashboard now record current draw and voltage, so you can see when you start plugging stuff in and turning it on how much current is being consumed. Round the back end, it's got the same ports, two threes and two twos, and it's still got the network connector as well. Where things get interesting is on this side. So we have a USB-C slot and a micro SD card slot. Now, the one thing that you'll notice that's missing on this is the SD card for the operating system. So where is it, you might ask? Well, it's now embedded, and the OS is now self-healing. So if there is any issues, it will recover itself from within the app. So there's no more having to deal with card backups and inserting and taking cards in and out of this. That does mean that, for example, if you're actually wanting to test beta versions of this, you're going to have to be a little bit careful, because obviously then you're going to have to reload this, and that's something that you'll have to think about.
So, Simon, so the card
Hmm.
now is only for storage now, so it's not
Yeah, it's in the operating system is embedded on the
nice.
internal memory. There is 20 gigabytes of internal disk storage available to the user, and you can access that via the USB-C. You can access it via the LAN, or you can access it via the Wi-Fi.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah. So the other thing as well is the SD card. If you leave this in, you can access this over the USB, or obviously you can take it out as well if you really wanted to. But yeah, with 20 gigs of storage, unless you're doing lots and lots of pictures, then there should be as a pretty decent size capacity. Um, Physically, pretty much that's similar. Obviously, you've got the antenna on the end here as well, and for 2.4 and 5 gigs, that has cured all of the coverage issues that we can see so far in our testing.
Mhm.
TJ and I have added out 20, 30 yards, and it's a solid signal. So there are some good changes to the software as well. So, for example, if you have this connected to a mobile phone in the field, you can connect to the phone, but you can still access the internet over the Wi-Fi connection to your phone. Whereas
Well,
before
that's
you were
good
kind of limited.
because you
Yeah,
have because you have to turn off the cellular data,
yeah,
in
yeah, yeah,
order
yeah. No, you
to
don't.
connect
Yeah,
up. So that's
yeah.
good.
So a lot of the features have been, we're currently in beta test of 1.7. There is a lot of new stuff coming in there as well, but there's also a lot of fine tuning and tweaking of existing features, like the plan mode, for example, that's been expanded. Right now, you've got the ability to load in imaging plans as well, from Telescopius and things like that. So you can actually load in a plan and directly import that as well. So I mean, one of the things that people are saying, oh, it's just just a pro with an antenna, is really not. It is a step change in speed. It is a step change in the facilities that this will allow us to continue developing, and there is a lot of new stuff in the software, and new stuff coming as well. Of course, we're not
Stuff you
stopping.
can't talk about.
Yeah, yeah. And I will, as you're getting here. I mean, this is probably an exclusive. I don't know
That's
who
pretty
else has
cool.
been. I only literally got the ability to talk about this last night.
Hey,
So yeah, so
That is
it's a real. I've been very impressed with it. It's as soon as you turn it on, uh, the app just feels a whole lot more refined. The responsiveness in it, in terms of changing screens and adding features, etc. The guiding screens all look slightly different and tuned. Um, there'll be a whole bunch of other stuff coming. I mean, we've still got all of the stuff that we had within the Pro. So yeah, so that's
Now, the one thing you mentioned, Simon, that I'm really excited about that I wasn't aware of was the ability to import plans
Yeah.
mm,
from Telescopius. So that's
yeah.
basically, addressing the mosaic, you know.
Yeah, so you could create a mosaic and create a bunch of targets. Look, I mean, framing a mosaic, things like rotation, angles, and for mosaics, these are all features that we've been talking about in terms of features that we would like to see. Um, I mean, this thing, you have it makes me laugh because I see so many queries about, oh, I want it to drive my dome, I want it to make the coffee, and plug into my toaster. If you remember where this came from, it came from the original Pi 3, and it was initially designed just to drive the cameras and provide a simple platform, the easy as 1, 2, 3.
Yep.
What it's grown into is just amazing, and we've been working on this for a number of years now, and we continue to work on it in terms of developing features that astro imagers want. um, and certainly, advanced features are, high on our radar. All the great thing about all of the test and development team, we're all active imagers. We
One
know the
cool,
kind of things that you guys want. So
yeah, one cool thing would be and I'm just thinking about this now, is the ability, with the video, something very fire capture like,
mm,
especially if you're using this guy that I just actually picked up, the
ADC.
atmospheric
ADC.
dispersion
Hmm.
corrector, where you have that feature in fire capture to help set the prisms properly, so for
Right.
the
Yeah.
color, that would be kind of cool to have something like that where you already, if you've already have this product, that you can utilize the ASIAIR, to help with that. That might be something
Yeah.
that'd be kind of cool down the pipe,
Eric,
to
are
have
you
your
are you going back to planetary now?
I want to try. I've got my 8SE. My orange Schmidt is just collecting dust.
It's
And I've got to
supposed to.
use it. And I'm not getting rid of it. I'm not getting rid of it because I do
No.
enjoy using it with my kids.
Yeah, sure, sure,
But
sure.
yeah, I mean, I want to get planetary's tough. I'm
It's
not gonna kid you.
tough.
Planetary's tough,
It is tough.
and I want to give it. I want to give it another go.
I hear you.
Um, so yeah. So
Well,
I
once
went ahead
once
and
my
got
EQ
the
eight
ADC.
R shows up in November, maybe
This year or next year?
this November. I ordered it in January, so it's slated. I don't want to mention names. I spoke to a gentleman over in Celestron/Skywatcher, and he promised me I should have it by Thanksgiving. So that means if I have it by Christmas, I'll be happy. so so
Oh, while I
yeah,
remember,
yeah.
I'm just trying to rack my brain here, trying to think of, so what is new that people might be interested in. One of the you remember one of the annoying things that when you well, it wasn't annoying for me, but it seemed to get on the nerves of a lot of people. When you turn this on, there was that huge beep
Yep.
when you
Yes.
turn it on.
Beep.
Yes.
Okay, so there is now the ability to silence it or turn
Nice.
it
Ah.
down for field mode.
That's
Okay.
good.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Yeah,
you
that
can.
because the beep every time you turn it, that was a little annoying. I would just walk away while it's booting up, and I could be, I don't know, 20 feet away, going back towards my house, and I can end up beep, and I'm like, all right, because you can hear
Yeah.
it
Con-
right from miles
confirm
away.
range to target. One ping only.
The damn
Exactly.
sub drivers.
Yes. One.
So
So
yeah, so
no,
that's
that's
something that's something else. You can turn the beep off too. So or have it in field mode where you have it pretty quiet. So if you really do want to hear things,
That's
it's
awesome.
a bit like a bit like the focuser where you can turn the beep on and off as well from that. So
Gotcha. Nice.
yeah,
So that's a
yeah.
really
So
exciting upgrade from ZWO,
yeah.
man.
Yeah, and look, there's a lot more there's a lot more coming. We're only just getting our teeth into. So I've only had this uh, a week or so, something like that, 10 days. So we're only just getting them. And then the other question will be, when is this thing available?
Right.
I don't know yet what the release date will be
Any
with
idea? We
ZWO.
already had a couple of questions on cost.
Mm.
Any
No,
idea?
it's similar sort of price range, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Well,
don't know if
is
they've.
that the sale price that they're at now? Or are
It'll be
we
a
talking
trade-in
about $299? I mean, there's a big
No,
difference
I
there.
don't. Yeah. I honestly don't know what they've nailed yet in terms of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
final release price to buy at, or when they will be available. But yeah,
right.
coming to a store near you.
Yeah,
Nice.
no
Well,
kidding.
that's
Yeah.
something very exciting for the
Trade-in
ZWO family.
program.
Yeah, well,
Trade-in program.
I'm sure that they'll do something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
all. That's all been yeah. When you look at the Facebook page for ZWO, there's common questions. When can I order? When can I have it? How much is it?
Yep.
And what about trade-ins? And they'll all be something that Sam and the team will be covering off very soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It would surprise me a lot if they didn't have some sort of like $100 off trade-in like they had last edition. But who knows? Who knows? But even if it's $100 trade-in and they bump it up to 349 at 249, it's a steal. If
I mean, yeah. I mean, if you look at, if you look at the other similar devices in the market, the reason why I'm involved with
Eagle.
the no, no, well, that's a bit of a price difference. I
Yes,
mean,
I
there
know.
is a
Yeah,
core.
oh yeah.
There is. You look at the Eagle Core. I mean, the Eagle Core will drive a DSLR. It's got a
Yep.
very cut down version of something like the ZWO. I was thinking more like along the lines of, Stellarmate or
Stellarmate. Yeah.
Yeah, but
devices like that.
now the Stellarmate, I don't know. I did a video on the
Is it still
Stellarmate
around?
probably like I guess when it first came out because I wanted to see it was basically it was exactly they took the cover off an ASIAIR and put the Stellarmate cover on it because it was plastic. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
with the K stars and the way that the software ran on that, I was ready. I literally, during the video, I took it and I threw it over my shoulder. And I was like, this is the most annoying thing that I've
Don't
ever
do it.
owned.
Don't do it with this.
No, no,
You'll
no, no, no. The
break a window.
even the original version of the ASIAIR, the plastic one, was
Yeah.
light years beyond the user friendliness
Yeah.
of K
So
stars and
and that and,
Stellarmate.
and that's been the aim all the way along in terms of the development for Air. What we wanted to be. We're constantly bombarded by people saying we need a PC client with this. We need a PC client. It was never designed for
Correct. Yeah.
to be running on a PC. People do run. They do run the ASIAIR Pro, using
Blue stacks.
emulators,
Yep.
but
Yep.
the results from that are varied. For some people, they work really, really well. For others, they don't. And every time that either ZWO make an update, or BlueStacks make an update, then there's a chance that something breaks. ZWO is not developing the ASIAIR for BlueStacks. Is designed for a tablet or a phone using Android and iOS, and that whole ethos of being simple to use, using the tablet or the phone as a dashboard, as a control panel to the telescope, was
Hmm.
where it all came from. And for that, I think it's a hit. I gave, if I run my ASIAIR at the club, the kids want to, they want to drag the scope round. They want to use, Sky Safari and,
Sure.
find things in the sky and have the telescope go over there. And then they want to take a picture. You know what? We want to do hours on a subject, and we want it
Right.
like, art perfect, and it's got to be the best image, because we're striving for that top image. The kids don't care. They wanna
Nope.
they drag it around. They'll push it onto a target. They'll take a 2-minute image or something, see what they can see, and then they'll go to another target, and they're not interested. Or the one thing they do like is the live stacking, and I think that's been one of the most popular features that
Yeah.
we integrated into Plus. Um, that's something that has been really, really good. The ability to live stack, on the device in the
Yeah.
field. That's great for outreach. If you set it
It's
up, set
awesome.
the telescope up, and just let it run, and the public are not really concerned that it doesn't look like something that's going to be on the
Coming out
front
of
page
Hubble.
of,
Yeah, absolutely.
you know. They are just so amazed, particularly where if you do a narrowband using an L Extreme or an L Enhance filter, and they go, well, there's nothing there. I can't see anything. You go, aha, yeah, but. And then it opens up a discussion around, the makeup of nebulas and, ionizing of gases from radiation, etc. And that's the kind of thing that really gets them going. And then the kids love, they just love playing with gadgets. You
Of course.
you give them a tablet. It's like, you
Yep.
Oh
just
yeah.
What
give them a
happens when
plate.
I do
So
this? What?
yeah, and I was like, yeah, I know how this works. And they're 10 years old and they're driving this around. You're like, how do you do that?
It's funny that you said that because there's a kid that now he's teaching me. I don't teach him, but he's I guess about 16 now. But I've been working with him for about 2 years, and only had about 2 sessions with him. Just showed him kind of how to hook things up and whatever. So, if they're watching, I don't know if they're watching. They may be watching, but the parents bought him, and Eric, you know this story,
Mhm.
um, a 6-inch Schmidt with a Hyperstar um, wedge, everything, no equatorial. It's all on. It's a 6SE on a wedge with the Hyperstar and the ASIAIR. First scope out, 14 years old. I'm like,
It's nice.
dude. I'm like, dude, what are
Yeah,
you
it took.
doing? Come on. And
I mean, you've only got to look at the forums, and if I look at the the ASI cameras forum, you've got guys that have been, I've been in the hobby, a year, and you look at the images that they produce, and you're like, wow,
yeah,
that's pretty incredible for someone who's been in the hobby for for a year. They just buy all this stuff off the shelf, and that can give them access to
I know.
magazine
It's
quality
so
images. You're like,
depressing, Simon. It's so depressing. It's like COVID, forget it. This is just like I want to jump off a bridge because it has these pictures that are people. We're all, well, maybe not Eric. Maybe Eric's the baby of the group here, but
I'm not going into this discussion.
but I mean, I remember taking film and throwing it to the photo mat and waiting a week to get it to find out that all my pictures were out of focus. So I mean,
Okay, Eric, he's the oldest. Okay, we're babies.
oh, okay, I'll take it. I'll take that, no problem.
No, I've never done the film side.
No, I did the
I only
film,
got
and
it. Yeah.
then I did the digital, and whatever. But even back, even if you go back 10 years,
Mm.
and you look at the way the software has improved, not even to mention the fact that CMOS wasn't really in existence for astronomical cameras.
Yeah.
You know, you just had really CCD, or you plugged in your DSLR, or you searched high and low for a random adapter to set your crappy HP Photo Smart camera to your telescope, and you know, it was almost impossible. And you know,
Yeah.
you got some people
Uh,
out that are making great photos. Literally, my friend Mark, who's out probably watching, he's just been into this for less than a year. Got his telescope Christmas. Got an
mm,
80D, got a camera, got everything. That doesn't even have just got the EAF. He's going total ZWO, which is fine. And let me tell you, for what he's been involved with over the past 9 months, 10 months, he's got some pretty cool photos. Man. He did the Veil. He did M42. He did a whole bunch, and they look decent. They look very good, and I'd be very happy with that starting in 9 months.
no.
Yeah.
And you know, and a lot of people, you know, getting into the hobby, they use the ASIAIR.
Sure.
It has it's difficult to be the right thing for everybody,
Yeah.
but
Right.
the ASIAIR was developed for that kind of person in particular, to be a simple imaging platform. It has grown, you know, exponentially in terms of capabilities.
Sure.
Um, that the power for the dollar versus the power imaging power that is in that little platform is incredible. And you can be sure. I mean, the team, you know, we're going to continue working on. There'll be, you know, future developments. I'm quite sure, of the software and also the hardware itself. You know, and if you look at the development of the cameras, what you're saying there about, you know, what you were doing 10 years ago, you know, it's funny, you know. When my first cool camera was a 1600.
Mhm.
Um, that didn't last very long in
No.
terms of the current model. You know, we've come uh, up through the models as the technology has progressed. And I was actually running my observatory last night. You know, I've got my roll-off roof observatory working now, and I've got all the
That is a
remote
huge
access working.
observatory, man. Let me just
Yeah,
say
it's
that
lovely.
is a
Yeah, it's
huge
great.
observatory.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. What
I,
is up with that, man? You
double
went
I
double
did.
crazy.
CEM double
I
CEM 60s. That thing
He's
is
laughing.
I
You
got
know.
carried away. I got
You know.
carried away, right? I didn't
no,
mean
People
for
no.
it to
You
be
laugh
so
didn't
because
big.
no,
it's
you didn't
funny,
get a
and they
anyway.
laugh
You went
because
buck
it's true.
wild.
I didn't mean for it to be so big. I was kind of like, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
I kind of future proofing. I kind of laid the piers out on the ground when I was setting the design out, and I'm kind of like,
I could fit another
okay, so
one.
if I've got, well, I always wanted two because I always, you know, we get so small windows down here sometimes. Having two scopes really, really helps because I can do two targets at two different, you know, and
Sure.
maximize the amount of data. Um, and run two setups. I could run color. I can run, you know, narrowband or whatever. But the one thing about it, when I laid it out, I was kind of like, well, so what happens in 5 years' time when I want to get a bigger mount? What happens if I want to go longer focal lengths? What if I want to get a, you know, a big RC or a, you know, big Newtonian? It needs to be enough space between them and the walls that I can fit, you know, a reasonable size scope in there,
Sure.
and two of them. And you know, you've got to work out where they might be pointing each other or, you know, whatever.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, so I came out with this size, and it was only when I started building it, and I was kind of like, ooh, ooh,
Yeah.
this is kind of large, and it's taken me a couple of years. I have to say, taken me a couple of years. And there's a young, like yourself, there's a young guy who's a member of our society, Kieran, who is he lives just a couple of kilometers away from me, and he's been helping me finish off the roof and finish off all the hardware and building. And now he's so last night he was remoted in and using one of the telescopes remotely from home.
Nice.
And yeah, and so that's really good. But that whole piece of bringing them on board and teaching them, there's a lot of interest in that. And I really I'm really keen for that. Certainly in our society, we've taken a massive leap in numbers since last year.
Whew.
And well, I tell you what, we went from like 120, 130 members to 260 plus.
Wow, you
So
doubled.
yeah, in 9 months. And the interesting thing is, I would say about 60 to 70% of them that are joining want to do astrophotography.
Yeah.
So that market, from where I've come, the 1600, we were imaging with the 2600 monochrome last night, and you look at the quality of that camera, and you look at the 1600, and the 1600 is still a good camera. It still wins pictures of the day. It's not dead, and I keep telling people, they go, "Oh, don't buy a 1600. It's old technology. It's outdated." And I'm like, well, go and have a look on the ASIAIR page. It's still churning in some. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's churning in some damn good images.
Yeah,
And if
sure.
you're on a budget and you can't afford the latest camera, and you can buy a second-hand one with a filter wheel and some, it's a good buy, right? It's a good purchase. And yeah, it's you got some things to worry about. There's, you need to calibrations, and you deal with some amp glow, and but these are all things that you can handle. They're all things that we handled when that was the only thing on the market.
People will say, "Oh, it doesn't have amp glow." I said, "So what?
So what?
Who cares?"
These are all things that we had to deal with.
Amp glow. What are you talking about? You take ducks, you'll be fine.
I bought the 294 mono, right? Because honestly, I couldn't afford the 2600. I would have loved to have got the 2600, but I couldn't afford it. But the 294, for me personally, also made sense because I figured, okay, I've got the one-shot color. I've got the mono now. Maybe I can do a little bit of combining here and there of RGB into some narrowband from the mono, and do a little bit of magic with PixInsight or whatever and see what happens. But, the technology, to your point, it's just been incredible these past 5 years.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because I got started in Astro maybe about 5 years ago.
Wow.
And just to see where it's come from, to your point, from that little plastic pie, that I first got to what we have now with the Plus coming. I mean, it's incredible. And the technology with the cameras. I mean, you are truly moving somewhat away. I mean, they're still out there, great CCD cameras, but now you're getting these CMOS cameras that can compete.
Dan's crying, Eric. Stop it.
Yeah, I know. But you got these.
You are right. Absolutely.
So it's awesome.
Yeah.
Innovation.
Yeah, and I look at the quality of the 2600's color and the monochrome, and you take last night we were doing the Statue of Liberty Nebula.
Which is so wrong.
Why is that in the South? Yeah, exactly. It's bad enough it's in New Jersey. I mean, it's got to be in the South
too. We can do a few horse trades here if you want to, trade some of those nice northern targets for a while,
No problem.
So the Statue of Liberty, and you do we were doing a 15-minute sub, and when you look at it, you're like, that 15-minute image would have taken me 8, 9, 10 hours on my 1600. It would just to get the low noise. When you look at how low noise the images that comes off it, it's just it's an incredibly good camera. I mean, people say, "Oh, well, it's so expensive," but it's like all technology as you move forward. If you look at the size of the sensor, as soon as you hit those sort of minority markets, monochrome APS-C sensors. That they're not sold in the same bulk as a color. as a color APS-C sensor. So I think the given what it does, and given the capabilities of it, they're pretty good value. I think, in terms of the enjoyment you get out of them. It's like any hobby. I mean, you can go and spend $20,000 on a set of golf clubs, but
Exactly.
it's all yeah. And don't get in, don't get into fishing. Horses, my wife's into horses. Man, horses don't eat hay. They eat $50 notes.
Simon, you golf,
Uh,
Simon? Do you golf?
Not me. No,
I was getting
no,
excited.
I'm not a golfer.
I figured all my golfing buddies moved all across the country. I figured maybe I'll have one out of the country too. So
I don't have time to do anything. By the time I spend time testing this stuff, by the time I do my own astronomy, and by the time I spend multiple nights a week,
Yeah, but you play golf when it's cloudy. I mean, you could do that in the daytime, and it's cloudy.
Yeah, I have to. I write stuff for our astronomy magazine and our website, and I run the training and education programs for the kids too. So it's Well, I'm the vice president of the society, and we're trying to push this. We're trying to push this on and develop it further. We had some discussions the other day about how big do you want to go. It's kind of like, I don't know, how big could we go?
Right.
This is a lot of growing pains, but
yeah.
To your point, Eric, I think we'll continue to see step changes in the technology as the stuff comes to market. I remember when I first got in, to have an autofocus system, you were something else. You had autofocus? Ooh, wow, that's, I was still dealing with batten-off masks and, terrible sloppy focuses. But now, you look at, EAF and they practically everything can, fit an autofocus system of some shape or form, whether it's a ZWO one or not. Now autofocus is that's. Yeah. Oh, if you're putting an astrophotography setup together, you've got to have, autofocus. Filter wheels. I mean, everything I've got now has rotators on. I mean, I would have never have dreamed of owning a rotator, and never mind a manual rotator. Now, everything is,
I went from.
I think it's skills.
You can get a rotator, at least a manual rotator. You can get one so inexpensively. It's.
Oh yeah, it was $99 for the William Optics.
The William Optics, yeah. What would be crazy is what if within the next 10 years they figure out a technology to help those guys with Newtonians and myself with Schmitz and RCs they can actually self-collimate.
Yeah, they're gonna come out with that, and they're gonna come out with a focuser, with a rotator, and AO all in one. And they're gonna...
I think it's only a matter of engineering, right? Yep. I mean, I was somebody was asking me the other day about why can't we get a mount that automatic polar aligns? And I think there is a couple I've seen over the years with a couple of attempts at it about automatic polar alignment. It's not something I would buy myself, but it's certainly I mean, polar alignment isn't particularly difficult. But it's one of those skills, and I think that's maybe a downside to the availability of all of this. This technology is that sometimes people go out and they buy all of this stuff, but they may be lacking in the basic skills of, It's like going out and you've got, it's going out and like, buying a Porsche, but, you've still got L plates,
See, you always use the golf kind of, analogy there where you got this guy that comes up and he drives his cart. It's wireless, and his cart and his clubs are moving with him, and he's got the nice dress and the hat and everything, pulls out the nice Callaway $450, $500 driver, gets up, takes perfect practice swings, gets up to the tee, and shanks it, and it goes into the woods. And that's the kind of thing. He looked great, but again, the practicality of the whole thing. Sometimes you really need, you can't just get up to the plate, swing the bat, and hit a home run. It's not going to happen. You may get lucky.
And look, you see it all the time on the
Sure.
astronomy pages. People with, Paramounts and Takahashis and FLI cameras and all the rest of it, and they're frustrated
I'm getting trails.
and they're selling it because they didn't, they weren't walking before they could run. They were, a million miles an hour before they could walk. And,
Yeah, exactly.
And
I think
go ahead, Simon.
That's where I think that's where the simple stuff comes in. The ASIAIR, it has the tools in there to help people polar align and guide them.
Sure.
And they can learn what that is and learn through it. But I'm not sure I need an automatic polar aligning mount.
No.
But
I don't now. I got peers.
Yeah. Hey, you
Exactly.
said it and forget it. So that's it. But there is something to be said about. I think there is a misnomer out there as far as yes, the technology has gotten so much better, and it has gotten so much easier in comparison to years before. The problem is that when people see pictures of people like us throwing it up on Astrobin or on Facebook or whatever social media anybody decides to throw their photos up, they say, "Oh wow, that's pretty easy. I could do that." And they end up spending 10 grand on all the stuff or more, and they get it all, and they are like bamboozled about, "Oh my God, what polar alignment guide camera? What?" And it's real important to you gotta get the fundamentals down on astrophotography. And when you're ready to dive into that, do your research, talk to people, join a club, do whatever you got to do to get the information before you get frustrated, because there's nothing worse than spending 10, 12, 15 grand on whatever you use and selling it for 6 when you're done with it. So
right, but also to Greg's point here online, in YouTube, it's not just also about the acquisition with the ASIAIR and learning polar alignment and all that stuff. It's also, okay, great, I had all this stuff to help me do the acquisition with the ASIAIR, and they do the polar alignment and the guiding and all that stuff and the planning. But what? Okay, I got all this, but what do you do with it?
Mm-hmm.
It's that next step,
Capture's the easy bit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You could sleep during the capture.
Oh yeah,
I do.
So do I.
Capturing is easy. The pre and post processing. Which we're going to talk about here in a minute. With PixInsight, some of the things we're going to talk about. Yep. But that is when you really get, when the tire meets the road, and when you really got to get into, to take your time and learn. Of course, you got to learn the acquisition parts and everything, but now you've got to really start learning. Okay, I've got all this data. How do I get those images? And it could be PixInsight, it could be APP or Photoshop and Deep Sky Stacker, but you still have to go through the processes. You have to learn, this stuff. It's just not, okay, I'm going to put all of these, these FITS files into this program and walk away. And when I come back, 30 minutes later, poof, I've got this perfect image.
Yeah, magazine quality ready image. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it is. That's the and for a lot of people, that's also the mountain to climb, because if you've once you've got your head around, creating an image, and even if you use, Deep Sky Stacker for the first time, you're going to go, well, what's next? And then you're into, then you're into some different territory as well. And then it's like any hobby. Then you're like, well, then I need to upgrade my PC, and I need more RAM. I need more CPU.
I need more RAM, or I need more storage space because I've got gigs worth of data here.
Oh, yeah.
And it's filling up my hard drive. I need to get a
perennial problem.
External hard drives or get some cloud stuff going. So yeah.
And it's, for me, that's the part about the hobby that I enjoy, because it's that technical side of, I mean, I've got access to remote scopes, and while it's good fun to get that data and capture it, it doesn't beat being out in the, out with the scope outside and being able to, adjust it and plot, tinker with it and tune it, and have it, outside on the mat. I mean,
using your
you can
hands.
you can buy these data sets, and it's kind of like, well, yeah, it's good if you don't have a scope and you can buy the data set, but for me, the fun is building those systems and getting it to work as it should, or as I want it to. But then that post processing is really great. It's good for the cloudy days, of which New Zealand has a few. And then sort of processing those images and sharing them and talking about them, which is something I enjoy doing as well. But that's good. I mean, the little baby steps, and I always say, we get the question quite often at the observatory, what scope should I buy?
Yeah.
And I always say to them, well, nothing. Buy a membership here. Come and learn about the sky. Come and learn about astronomy, and then use some of the gear here. Work out what you want to do, because there is so much. There is so much stuff, and some of it is expensive and complex. And you get into solar imaging. You can wave bye-bye to thousands of dollars and focus only on solar or planetary, or lunar. There is so much,
Simon,
other than in deep sky.
Yeah, to your point, there are so many clubs out there across the world that you would be surprised if you join the club. Many of those clubs, including, I'm sure, the one that Simon has, Eric has, and the one that I have a library of stuff that you could borrow that has been donated to them, that is directly for the membership. So if you don't have a telescope, most clubs have telescopes you can borrow, whether that be a small refractor up to a 10, 12-inch Dob or more. And you could borrow these things, as long as you're, a nice, honest person and return them.
Our society seems to be a magnet for estate sales or estate clear-outs as well. So we get a lot of stuff donated to the society, which we then pass on, to our members, or so. I was given some stuff end of last year, and there was a young girl in our society was looking for a telescope. Single mom, didn't have a lot of money, and then I turned up with this nice, Skywatcher, 113 mil Newtonian on a,
nice.
I cleaned it up. Yeah, I gave it a clean, fixed a couple of bits and pieces on it, found an eyepiece for it, and she came up to the observatory, and wow, that face! It's
nice,
big beaming face.
Nothing beats that, especially when you're dealing, whether you do an outreach, but when you're actually giving somebody who has a love of astronomy, whether visual or photographic, when you get that damn or wow or whatever.
I love that.
Yeah,
the kids
too.
come up there, and the first time they see Saturn or Jupiter,
yeah. Oh my God, is that really there? Am I seeing it?
Is that real? Is that real? Is that is that CGI?
So somebody came up. I I had my 18-inch obsession out for an outreach, and we were looking at Jupiter, and just happens that the red spot was transiting, and the kid, I almost killed the kid, but he jumped up and grabbed the top of the upper cage of it and pulled it down to see if something was on the other side. That he didn't believe that he was looking at Saturn. And thank God it wasn't tracking and I didn't have my locks on anything. It just kind of came down. But I was like, oh my God. You know, I would have had a nightmare. I would have cried.
Hey, that's a good idea for a show if you want to talk about outreach and setting up public events. I've got a I organize our outreach events at the society along with the team. So got a ton of experience there, lots of ideas of and some of the pitfalls as well.
Yeah.
That we've learned along the way. Like we're now so popular, we have to use tickets because we'd get 200 people lined up outside the front door, and
Yeah. Yeah. We do that over in.
we couldn't handle that number of people in one go.
Yeah, there's well, I don't do it anymore. I haven't done it in a long time. But out east on Long Island, there's a place called Custer Observatory, and every Saturday night, weather permitting, a gentleman is out there. His name is Bill, and he runs the 14-inch Schmidt in a dome, and in the real dome, up the stairs in the building, you have a 25-inch Obsession in a dome with a servo cat, the whole thing, and it's unbelievable. From that scope on Long Island, 25-inch Schmidt, 25-inch Dob, Obsession, I was able to pull out G1 and G2 in the Andromeda Galaxy, and it was just awesome. I had to get visual confirmation from 3 people to see it's kind of like when you see something like that, it's kind of like having a hole in one with nobody watching. It's like, it's like one of those things that you got to have confirmation. And I got confirmation from 3 different people. Like, yep, that's it. I see it. So we saw globular clusters in another galaxy, which was pretty awesome.
Yeah. So if anybody's interested, we can do a
we could do that.
Outreach and how to set up an outreach event, what things to think about, how to advertise it, how to ticket it, how you can bring stuff towards the observatory, your society, and grow it. So
Well, now that I hate to say it, but you're working from home now. But maybe you'll come hang out with us a little bit more often.
I love hanging out with you guys.
No, we love having you. I'm not trying to say it like that.
Yeah. Always the wrong time for me because
no,
you guys are at the alcohol and feed up, and here in the future we're actually working hard for you. Yeah, we're working hard in the future for you today.
Yeah, I'm telling you. You're making sure we survive the night. I appreciate that.
That's right. Yeah. We're making sure there is a tomorrow.
Thank you.
There is a tomorrow.
There is no tomorrow. Sorry, it's a.
Yeah. If you just get a blank screen with the color bars, saying public service announcement, then you're like, uh-oh.
Yeah. Everyone's talking about some of the original stuff that they were looking at. Mark remembers the first time he saw Saturn for the first time in his 125, and it's pretty interesting. Oh, it did. I know. I thought Pete Proul was on. Pete Proul from IP for AP.
Yes, he was off.
He was on, right?
Yeah.
I thought I saw his name pop across. Oh, there he is.
Was.
Yep.
He was.
There are no good golfers. We all suck. Pete, listen, you're in Buffalo. We could meet halfway. We could do, no problem. We could have a really crappy 18
Every time I think about golf, I only think about Caddyshack.
Don't give me that damn gopher. I'm telling you.
Oh dear.
But
Yeah,
yeah. So
it's good, and
hey,
I really, I think it's a really great thing to just to remember where you came from. I've got
yeah.
pictures of my first astro image, and I was so impressed. I like
Yeah.
showing it to my wife and showing it online, and now I look at it and go, "Oh my god, I should really just bury this in
Let's
some
bury that.
folder and never see it again. It's awful. What was I think? What was I thinking?"
I'm telling you.
It shows your progression. It shows where you came from.
Oh well, at least I'm not going backwards, Eric.
Exactly.
Don't go
Exactly.
backwards. Never go back.
Yeah, I can't. I'm in the future. I can't go backwards.
So do you
I haven't
want
got a
to?
I haven't got a DeLorean.
Do you want to talk about the PI modules?
Yeah, I'm actually looking for a real pic. Yeah, I definitely want to do that. Here you go. Hold on.
Yeah,
Where is it? There.
I'll probably jump off and
Wow, Pete's
go and
Pete
finish
said
the rest
his
of
wife's a real
rest of the
golfer.
day.
She's got 50 rounds in this year.
50
Yeah, okay.
rounds. 50 rounds. I got like 0 rounds in the last 3.5 years. I mean,
So hey Eric, he's got the golf clubs, but he doesn't golf. So-
He's got
dude, all my golf buddies moved, and I got no golf buddies, and I hate going by myself. I'm not like one of those guys that I'm just gonna. I live literally like a half a mile away from a golf course, and I don't even go because it's like, I'm sorry, 3/4 of a kilometer for us metric users out there.
if you have Dan, when you come over and visit, I live next door to a golf course. Okay, I can find you some golf buddies.
Oh, I'm psyched. I'm psyched. Here you go. So we were talking about the original kind of what we used to use for telescopes and everything. Here you go. Here's something for you. Can you see that?
Not at the moment.
Oh, you can't see it. You'll have to go on YouTube. Well, I'm showing the picture of my first real telescope, and it's a Meade LX200 GPS on a wedge, and it's a big mess. And I have a lot darker hair, and I'm skinnier than I am now. So there you go. So yeah, oh, hold on, we lost Eric. Where'd Eric go? There you go. There you go.
where'd I go?
No, you didn't go. We just didn't hear you.
No, so are those all your eyepieces in the case and everything? All your different eyepieces?
Yeah, those are my eyepieces. And if you take a look on the table in front of the eyepiece is the first wireless hand controller that Meade came out with. That's a wireless hand controller.
Okay.
What else is on here? Anything else
You got the
interesting?
Telrad?
I know I have. Oh yeah, there's the Telrad right there.
Telrad's it.
I got the Telrad there. I got a
Battery
really
eating Telrad.
yeah. Man, but let me tell you something. I love the Telrad. I have 3 of them still. I still use them.
I
I
still have
love it.
2 of them.
Yeah, and that's my old Canon bag. This held my original Rebel XT. There's no number. I was waiting for somebody to say what number. There was no number after it. That's the original. And I guess this picture was taken circa 2005,
Okay.
2006, maybe.
Greg was asking how much was that rig at the time when you purchased it, the LX200,
With the wedge and everything and all the extra eyepieces, probably about $3,000.
Okay.
Probably about $3,000. Yep. This was the wedge. See the latitude adjustment at the bottom of the picture in the middle?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Try turning that thing in the wintertime.
Oh, God.
I had an
ripped-
LX200.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. I ripped all the skin out from my hand on that thing because it was all solid metal. It was just horrible. But
That was my first mistake in astrophotography. I bought an LX200, a 10-inch one on an equatorial mount on a wedge, and I had no idea what I was buying. I just saw some of these guys' pictures, and he was selling this, and I was like, "Oh yeah, great, cool, I'll buy that." And
Well,
then
everybody
yeah, I
bought
was
those
like,
though.
oh, I hated it. I hated it. It really, it put me off for some years of actually doing photography, and it was only years later I actually was like, well, I want to revisit this, and I did, and this time I got it right. But yeah, that thing was that was a killer.
Yeah, no.
I remember having to try and put it. It was on a on a tripod, and setting the damn thing up would take me all evening.
Oh my God, it was dreadful,
Just
man.
just to
Trying,
get clouded
oh,
out, like
it was horrible. I mean, just to
yeah,
lift the telescope up and fit that one screw in the
bolt,
slot, trying to, and then
yeah.
moving it and trying to get the other two in, it was a nightmare.
Mm.
And
Yeah,
then,
I
And
and
I
then,
was doing
remember.
it on my own, so it was just like, oh.
I remember when I got a. I don't remember the actual model, but it was a Meade refractor. But it
okay,
was one with the 925 or 96
9.965.
or 965. Yeah.
Yep.
Um,
That's
built
old school, bro.
eyepieces.
Even I
Old,
didn't have
old,
that.
old. And but I had gotten this thing. I got it off of some website or something. That they were selling it really really cheap. And so I said I wanted to get some, and I couldn't handle those eyepieces. I got no relief or
No,
anything
there's
like
nothing.
So
You
I
can't even
wanted to
see
get
through
different
those things. It's
eyepieces.
like,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I wanted to get some different eyepieces, and the popular ones, of course, were the one and a
1.25.
quarters.
Sure.
So then I tried to go say, and I couldn't, and of course I couldn't use them.
Nope.
So that old meat ended up going, and going bye bye, rather
Yeah.
quickly, and I gave up, on dealing with it, astronomy for a little while after that whole horror show with that little meat refractor, but
Yeah.
yeah, and now
That's dreadful.
everything I have
I'm quite anal
everything I have
now.
is
Yeah, I'm quite anal now about getting people to have the right gear.
yeah,
Yeah, it's like Eric says, if you get it wrong, it'll put you off. So making
it
the
will
right
put you off.
choices is yeah.
Yeah. So I
If you
took a
get it
picture
wrong, it's frustrating.
just in comparison of then and now. I mean, I'll put this up, and this is now. I don't know if you could see that,
Oh no,
but
not CCD pictures.
leave my CCD stuff alone. Yeah, I have this little part of the world that I kind of like, and you're totally destroying it for me. It's like so bad. Stop it. I like my CCDs. I do. I like them. There's no real reason for it anymore because of the difference between the two is not as great as it used to be. But I'm telling you, I like my CCDs. I like my dreadfully slow download speeds. I love it. And yeah.
You're weird, man. You're really, really
I
weird.
I am a masochist at heart. I'm telling you. But
You are.
hold on, Eric. You disappeared on me again. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Eric.
What happened?
No, you're good.
Why is your guide camera up so high? You have rings up there for your another refractor?
Yeah. Those rings are actually for my 80 Esprit.
Okay.
And what the plan was to do either narrow band on one shot color on the other, and
Mm-hmm.
so I'll have RGB stars with narrow band data with the big guy. So
Gotcha.
and that's
Yeah,
the
'cause
plan
that's
right
quite
now.
up
And the reason why this is all set up in anticipation for the EQ8. And right now, unfortunately, I'd be pushing the limit as far as weight on the mount if I was to put the 80 in there.
there. Mm-hmm.
But I just didn't feel like taking it apart, and that's why it's really high right now. But I also have another dovetail that I have. I have another dovetail with rings. Basically, the eagle slides off that dovetail, and I could take the eagle, the 80, and the guide scope and put it on another Los Monti dovetail and have it on its own on another mount. So
Gotcha.
I don't know. I'm playing around with some stuff,
I hear you.
but yeah. So the things that we do for this hobby, it's like out of control.
Yeah.
Going nuts with whatever we do. I mean, whether buying a new Schmidt or spending the money on a Rasa or
Hmm.
getting a 152, spending 5 grand on a refractor. I mean, we the stuff that we do to go deep and deep and deeper. And the reason is we just want the best. I mean, we're all artists, and I say this a lot on the show that we all love our art so much, and we just it's kind of like revisiting an old friend with a different set of eyes, and you kind of just want to add another stroke of paint to that painting that you're making, and you
Yeah.
want to get closer and closer. Like I have a great picture of the NGC 7000, the North American Nebula, but it's with an 80 millimeter. Now I want to get the Cygnus wall, which is part of NGC 7000. So what do I need? I need a bigger scope.
You need a
So
bigger scope.
we get another scope, get the resolution, get the magnification, and then you're good to go. And then I want to get a small galaxy. So what do I need? I need not a bigger scope. I need a different scope. I
You need
need
a
something
Schmidt.
completely different. I need
You
something
need a
completely
Schmidt.
different.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
that's one thing I always remind everybody.
You
There's
know,
there's no one scope, and you
nope,
won't own one scope if you're in this hobby.
No.
nope.
I
I
mean,
mean,
because
I mean, just like
look
golf.
at me.
What's that? Go
Look at
ahead.
look at
Just like
look at me. Selling all my refractors, and
Ah,
now
you're
I've got
never gonna live that down, ever,
yeah.
ever,
I'm
ever.
never gonna live it down. But selling all my refractors and going and getting another Schmidt, getting the 8 inch Schmidt. But I also have the Rasa.
Right.
So now with that I've got two scopes that can do three things.
Yeah.
But I got so it's and that's great because if it's basically okay, I bought a Rasa or I could have bought a Hyperstar, but that's
Yeah.
here nor
Well,
there. But
to your
so
point,
I
Eric,
got it all.
there's when it comes down to scopes, whether it be refractors, reflectors, Schmitz, CDKs, whatever it is, there is the right tool for the right job.
For the right job.
And you're not going to go do planetary with an 80 millimeter refractor. It's not going to
Exactly.
happen. You need the longer focal length. You need the slower scope. You need the power mate or whatever to knock it down a little bit. You need certain things to do certain objects. You can say,
You do.
you could now. I'm not going to say you can't do planetary with a refractor. You can, but you may just not be pleased with it.
Yes.
So you
For
know,
sure. For sure.
but
And that was one of the things. I didn't get the edge with the intention of doing it for planetary or lunar. I got it because I wanted the higher magnification so I
yeah,
can go deeper into nebulae, and so I
yeah,
can get those fainter and smaller galaxies. That's the reason why I went ahead and got the Schmidt, because I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that with my refractors. I mean, my refractors, they fit a certain they fit a certain need at the time, but I said, you know what? I don't need like my 71-inch refractor now because I've got the Rasa.
71 inch.
Sorry, millimeter.
he's compensating.
71 mil.
He's
Yeah,
compensating for what?
yeah, I'm compensating for a little bit. My 71 mil, refractor, because I had the Rasa, which had basically the same
Yeah.
focal length.
Yep.
So it was kind of that. And I didn't really do it. Did I need the Red Cat because I have the Rokinon 135
Right.
with that I can do all this stuff. So it was all these different things that was making me think, do I need all these refractors here?
You
And
need at
what
Yeah.
least one.
Yeah.
I mean, don't sell
I need at
all
least
of them.
one.
3. You need 3 or 4, man. It was
And
like, what?
and the Rokinon 135 does not take the place of a red cat. I'm sorry.
Well, yes, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It
Again,
absolutely
right
does
tool,
not.
right job. I mean,
Absolutely does not. But that wide, but the wider,
yeah,
field
absolutely.
of view. That's
Yeah.
what I'm talking
I
about.
seem to be
No,
I seem to be going up in size with refractors.
Yeah, but to your point, Simon, yeah, I had 4 refractors. I had the 51-inch white cat. I had the 71 millimeter.
Millimeter, yes, millimeter,
Yes,
not
thank you.
51 inch.
I'll get the imperial. I get the imperial.
I'm sorry,
So
just messing with you.
I had the 51 mil. Petzval. You got the 71. I had the 126, and then I had the 152.
Yeah. I'm telling you. I mean, and you got rid of them all
And I got rid of them all
for an edge.
because
I'm
it wasn't. I wasn't getting what I wanted.
Yeah, no, and now you're contemplating buying a new refractor. So,
Yeah.
so
That FLT 91.
He's seen the light. He's seen the light.
I sold 2 FLT 91s in a day last Thursday.
Mm.
Last Thursday, they're all gone. I don't have any left. They're all gone.
No, I'm sure.
That with the special. So let me ask you a question. You're a William Optics guy,
Yeah.
or ex William Optics guy. Why? The FLT 91 is mostly gold, right? It's white and gold, right?
Yes, white and
Colorwise.
gold.
Why would they release a special edition flattener for the FLT 91 and it's gray?
Because they actually also have the space gray scope itself, and
They
they have a
don't
red.
make a gold one though.
No, they don't make a gold one.
They don't make it. I was
They
like,
don't
come
make
on. I said, that looks kind of silly.
I'm pretty sure they all look the same in the dark.
They do.
Oh, I'm not even. I'm not even touching that one, Simon. It's getting really late.
In the end, in the dark, it all works the same.
Oh God, this is
I
turning in a bad direction.
I sent you a picture of my observatory at night. It's all black and white.
That it is. But it's about the aesthetic value. That's why ZWO and Prima Luce went with red. Everybody likes red.
There is a lot of psychology around the coloring of products.
There is absolutely.
There is.
Absolutely.
Yep.
The red's more, for some reason, it makes it feel, with that red, it's like a Corvette or a Ferrari. It's sleeker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's why insurance companies make you spend more on your insurance if you have a red sports car as opposed to a white one in the U.S.
Yeah.
It's horrible, dreadful.
You've seen this nice little,
What is
little. It's a little.
I can't read it. What does it say? Can you translate?
It's just a thank. It's a thank you from ZWO to the noting who in the test team has put
nice.
effort into
But
but it's red.
But you can that actually shows up on the new
on the splash screen. Yeah, on the splash screen.
Oh,
on
nice.
the splash screen that actually pops up, which is kind of cool on the beta right now. Are they going to do it full?
Yeah.
Are they going to do it for the GA, or is it just for the beta?
I think it'll be on the full release. I don't think they'll take it out.
That'll be cool. Yeah.
That'll be cool.
They should put everybody's name on it too if they don't have it. Yeah.
It's got I tell you that there's a lot. When you look at this card, there is a lot of names on here. You go, oh, yeah, they're very familiar names. As you go around this. And there's some
more
names
importantly, are you and TJ on there?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, TJ's on here. I am. There's this guy called Tyler Bowman on there.
Why is Tyler? He doesn't even take a picture. Why is he even on there? He doesn't do anything. What does he do?
I think Blaine's on there.
They were part of the test teams.
Test this.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of else. Bob Waterfield on there as well.
Nice.
He's a well-known tester.
Yeah.
Some names I can't pronounce.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the
So,
beta testers are very important, and the
yeah.
entire community owes their lack of more bumps in the road to you guys. So, again, thank you for yourself, TJ, and the rest of the beta testers out there for kind of testing this thing out. So by the time it comes out, hopefully there'll still be some bugs, but there'll be a lot less because of your guys' testing. So.
Yeah. Oh, I can tell you there is literally hundreds of hours that before even it's released to the beta testers, we'll have a good go at it. But one of the questions that we get asked a lot is, well, you guys tested this. Why is it still a problem? And you go, well, look at the combination of hardware and
Yeah.
mounts and scopes and different setups. It's no wonder you can't just. I mean, we've got quite a lot of systems between the testers, but when you look at the variation of
Yeah, there's so
combinations
many once you
of
put it out
hardware.
there, there's so many
When
different
they,
variables out there.
yeah. When will, don't they usually will, is it usually 90 days before they go GA? Is it 90
No,
days?
it depends on how smoothly things have gone. So if
Sure.
it's if they do a release and it's there's not a lot of bugs and it looks good, it'll go to beta quite quickly, and then from beta, usually a few weeks later,
Yeah.
once they've had a couple of rounds of defect fixing. Yeah, we're always finding little things. There's it's part of that normal testing cycle.
Yeah.
Finding stuff and nailing it, and then find something else and nailing it. And like all software, sometimes you fix one thing and break something else. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Like the
quite
fit
normal.
setters.
Story of my life.
Hmm?
I fix something
Like
and
the
something
fit,
else breaks.
The fit.
like the fit
Oh,
setters.
the fits header. That's a prime. Yeah, that's a prime example. The fits header. So
Did they ever fix
yeah,
that? Did you get a fix for that?
No,
yeah.
but
It's not. It's in work. We know we know what it is. So yeah,
Oh, okay. All right.
yeah.
There you
so
go,
that'll be
Eric.
So
good. Yeah,
that's
because,
that was
because
wasn't known.
I sent them
Yeah,
copies of my fits, of my files.
yeah.
Yeah.
The old one. I sent them the old one that I had from last year and the new one, so
Yeah.
they can compare and
Yeah, we
stuff
went
like
over that at the
Yeah.
show last week. I mean, it was like,
Yeah.
whoa.
Yeah, I'll say we. So when Eric alerted me, I alerted the test team, and they picked it up, grabbed the fits off Eric, and then it's like, oh yeah, we got to we'll get the fix in for that. That's just a header. It's just some
Yeah,
bit
it's
of
just some
code
better
that's
stuff.
not just not come through right.
Yep.
And we
Yep.
find little bits. Yeah, I mean, I can tell you when the first time when we were doing ASIAIR testing, things like polar alignment and meridian flips. Oh my,
Oh,
you can't
oh wow.
imagine how many nights I spent outside um, testing meridian flips because it worked fine in the north, but we're in the southern hemisphere. So that gives a whole new ball game in terms of reading the sky and working out where we are, and and then doing those flips. And yeah, it took a lot of nights to get it, working out what was going wrong, where it was failing, and then making sure that the flip and the recenter was spot on. And yeah, as soon as you add a new mount to that, because that's the other challenge is that while you're doing this stuff, you know, Ioptron have brought out, the CM40, CM70, and then you've got EQ8s and,
Yeah.
EQ6R
Yep.
Pros, and all this
Yep.
stuff is coming at you while you're trying to, that's
Yeah.
why did have a bit of a problem with the EQ6 and the ASIAIR because between the EQ6 and the Pro, they changed some of the data formats in the comms to the mount, and suddenly we got problems where people have got new mounts, and suddenly hey, it doesn't work anymore. It's like,
Right.
Why? So you just have to work through it. You just got to work through with the user and just say, hey, look, let's see what's going on. Oh yeah, we know why. It's because the EQ6R Pro's got a different firmware. It's got a different format. Yeah.
Yeah.
And even E's like CM40s, they'll there's a firmware upgrade to the mount, nothing to do with the air, and suddenly ASIAIRs are no longer communicating with the communicating with the
Amount.
mount, and you go,
Yeah.
well, why is that stopped? We haven't changed anything on that, and it's just there's been a format change, like Eric's, Fitz header.
Yeah.
Suddenly,
Yep.
there's a slight change in format because Ioptron want to do something in the ASCOM Commander, which is the dashboard that you get with an Ioptron mount to control it, remotely. Suddenly there's some new feature, some extra things on the hand controller that they want to implement. Suddenly the data formats change slightly, and then suddenly it doesn't work. And then you got to work through why it doesn't work, and then put a fix into play, and then test the fix, and then it goes into release. So yeah, I know people get frustrated, but when you've worked in the software industry, it's real hard to keep up with this stuff, particularly where you've
One thing,
got
one
products
thing
coming
we
at
can
you
do,
right,
we
left,
have to
and
tell
center.
people. One thing we have to tell people who keep getting frustrated, with the software, with ASIAIR and stuff like that. There's a certain group of people that keep getting frustrated, and it's the Sony people,
Mm,
the Sony camera people. You got to understand, this has nothing to do with ZWO.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
yeah.
Sony forever has been reluctant to release, a developer kit or anything like that.
Mm.
To so there is no way, sorry, if you bought a Sony camera, don't expect for it to use it on an ASIAIR
Yeah.
because it's
And there and there, if you look at
now.
you look at DSLRs, there was a decision made by ZWO to open up the ASI Air to DSLRs. I can openly say I don't. Some of the test team were kind of like, this is going to cause us a lot of pain.
Mm-hmm.
We don't. Most of us don't own these things.
Right.
Um, most of the test team own a variety of ZWO cool cameras, but when you start opening up those DSLRs, there is just a ton of them. So then you need to drag in more testers,
Mm-hmm.
who own these kind of gears to help you, and that then in itself is a problem because you're expanding a test team that you're trying to. You're trying to keep your arms around to make sure that the testing is going structured,
Yep.
but also if you're trying to develop something like this and keep the lid on it, so yeah, it becomes quite difficult. But they made ZWO made the decision to go with a certain number of DSLR models, but it's back to that same problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You go, okay, was this the Sony A7? Then it's an A7 II or a 3 or 3R or whatever it is, or a Canon. This model is in 6 months' time is replaced, and there's a whole new bunch, but they all use different formats. And like you said, Eric, Sony have been particularly difficult around their SDKs,
Yeah.
which has caused problems. So we've been looking at. I remember testing attempts at the Sony 6400, the 6000 series last year, and we
Mhm.
just could not get it to work reliably.
Right.
So at some point you have to say, well, the effort to 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 do one camera versus creating a new feature like the plan feature.
Yeah.
The return on investment for the others versus a percentage you own Sony's.
Yep.
I mean DSLR owners I would think are quite a significant portion of ASI Air ownerships, but the bulk of the owners are
Yeah.
cool camera
Yes.
owners. It's the normal, I would say pretty much the standard setup is the small refractor. Sorry, Eric, and
Yeah.
and you know, an ASI 294 or a 533 or a 2600 with a filter wheel, you know, and all
Yeah.
that stuff is, you know, is tested to death. We you know, we
Sure.
have lots of hours of that stuff. It's the outlying, you know, the outliers that cause problems. You know, the strange model DSLRs or some, you know, things like, you know, a 10 micron, you know, a 10 micron mount. You know, if you look at the numbers of mounts that are tested, the things like the, you know, a 10 micron or one of the Hoban, you know,
Yep.
mounts,
Mhm.
they're a very small percentage, even maybe a sub percent of the
Of
total
users.
ownership,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
causes us, yeah, because they want support just the same way as someone
Sure.
that's got an
Sure.
EQ6, but
Well,
it's
in all
yeah.
fairness, if you have a Hobum and you're buying an ASI Air Pro, I mean, going a
No,
little
I don't know.
cheap
I mean,
there.
people.
I don't know.
I don't think it's. I don't think people buy ASIAir because it's cheap. I think they buy it
No,
because
no,
it's
they buy it because it's useful, and you know,
it's an easy drive. You know, if I look at, you know, if I look at my Eagle and SGP, that is a complex beast. And
it is.
even now, I mean, I'm a pretty experienced SGP user.
Yeah.
I've been using it for many years, and I've used it since I started my imaging life. Even now, I get frustrated by it because sometime it will just go, nope,
Yep,
ain't do,
I know.
ain't doing it, and you're like, why are you not doing it? You've done this night after night after night, and suddenly you're going, yeah, nah.
It
Yeah.
And
destroyed one of my profiles last night. It
oh
totally
god,
destroyed it, and I
yeah,
couldn't recover it. I had to go back from like a month ago with all this other stuff. It was just a nightmare.
yeah. But then I, you know, if you look at SGP Pro, you know, Sequence Generator Pro, the amount of testing that goes into that, the amount of development that's gone into those products to get it to do,
Yep.
I really, you know, it still amazes me. You know, I look at a simple thing that we think is a simple thing, a meridian flip. Okay, I look at the complex set of decisions and movements that go into a meridian flip and the steps, and it's like
Mhm.
I'm I go out and watch my mount, and you go,
I
that
can't
is
believe it's
impressive.
doing this.
That is
Yeah.
impressive. You know, and it's like pixel perfect. You know, it's just like, here it was, and now the mountain's on the other side, and it is just continues on. It does that when I'm asleep,
Yep.
and it restarts guiding, and away it goes. And you're
Yep.
like, wow, that is a, you know, it's only when you get into the mechanics of it in terms of software, it's like, that feature alone is pretty incredible.
I probably wouldn't
Um,
even know what I was looking at.
yeah, it's amazing. It really is amazing, and you know, I think yeah, I think people buy the, you know, you know, the ASI Air because it is a simple, you know, it's a
Yeah.
simple, easy to use. It's fun to use, you know,
Yeah,
and you
it is.
don't need you can use it in the field. You don't need a PC. You don't need SGP. I love my Eagle to bits. They're the, you know, I have two of them, and I would never ever get rid of them unless there was something, you know, that was
Knew
better
that. Yeah.
than you know, than what they are. I love them, but I love the ASI Air. It fits the niche for that,
Yep.
but you know, the complex, you know, observatory based
Let me
system is also good.
Sure. Sure.
let me ask you a question, Simon, and this is surrounding. This is a thought for me. Um, the plate solving
Mm,
for the ASIAir. Do you think, especially when you get into the longer focal lengths? I know that they've made some improvements with plate solving with the longer focal lengths, but there's also the issue or the concern with this, with the type of sensor size. Do you know if they're going to be making any plans or improvements or making any adjustments to the plate solving, based off of, their different types of cameras, or, the pixel sizes and things like that? Whereas when you have those longer focal lengths or those maybe or the smaller chips, that you
Mm.
won't be able to, you have that difficulty in plate solving. Do you know if they're going to be, if there's any discussion as far as looking into that and making any changes or improvements?
Look, and it'll sound like a stock politician answer, but it is true that we are always looking. When you're posting stuff online, when people post stuff on the ZWO page, we're always looking. We have our own admin channel. When people are posting on the cameras and ASIAIR page, we're discussing those and going, is that, why would that happen? What would cause it? Is there something we can do about it? Is it something we should alert as a defect? We'll see it
Hmm.
ourselves as well, because we've got people that are using longer focal lengths. So
Yeah.
yeah, we're always looking to try and improve things and make it a good experience.
Because
Um,
that was, that's
and
one of those thoughts of somebody who has like a C11 or a C14,
Yeah, and the
stuff like that.
challenge is, and it's not just the ASI Air that has that problem. SGP has the same problem. If you
Yeah.
have a very long focal length and you have a small chip, only have a very, very
Yep.
small piece of sky to look at. If you
Right.
don't have enough stars in there, then you
It's
won't
gonna
plate
fail.
solve, because
Yep.
it doesn't know what it's is looking at. So
I
there is a
see. Okay.
limit for all of these plate solving systems. It's not like a big, professional observatory. But even those guys, I would imagine, I don't have access to that kind of size, but I would imagine that they have a similar problem if they get too small a chip in terms
Sure.
of working out where they are. But they're probably using coders and
Yep.
very accurate tracking systems. But
Well, I
but
guess
for
there's
us, for
also,
plate solving, you need the
I
stars,
guess,
right?
Yep.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I guess, that's when you have to rely on actually having your RA and declinations, and manually entering that stuff in,
Mm.
and just relying on, that information of, those coordinates, because you won't
You
be
could
able to.
the other way as well is that if you have a piggyback mount
Hmm.
scope, you could always
Use that.
swap to that and
Yep.
use a wider field. So if you have a long focal length Schmidt-Cassegrain and a smaller piggybacked refractor, no reason why you couldn't use that to help. But you'd need to cut down on the error between the Schmidt-Cassegrain and the refractor, but it would get you in the ballpark.
It gets you in the
Yeah,
ballpark.
it's
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
it's quite hard. It's quite hard because you run out of stars to actually plate solve against, and for a simple system. And this is the thing I just I sometimes have to remind people that this is a simple system. It's a Pi, it's a Raspberry Pi, with
Yeah,
some, so with a inbuilt, firmware, an operating system. It is not an observatory, professional observatory grade instrument that you're
right.
tagging into here. There are limits to what they can do with it. Um, and unfortunately, yeah, plate solving on long focal lengths. I sometimes get the same when I'm doing wide field with it. Sometimes there are too many stars, and when you've got a wide field image of 135 millimeters, and you look at how many stars are in there, it's like,
Yeah,
yeah, that's a lot of, particularly around the southern hemisphere here. Sometimes around the core of the Milky Way, it's just like it is just dense, in
yeah.
terms of star fields, and that can give you some challenges too. But
That gave you
I,
challenges
in
for
in
sure.
general, the reliability of it is pretty good.
It is. It is. Yeah, but going back to what I was saying earlier about planetary, I'm sure, whatever the video I thought was fantastic when it brought video.
Mm.
I thought that was great. But if they, while you guys are working and looking at all these new features, it would be great, to start seeing some improvements or some changes in that, or some more enhancements, For
Oh, yeah, I
those.
could tell you if we had a, that there's a limited development team, limited test
Oh,
time,
sure. I'm
and
sure.
yeah, you kind of you kind of, well, yeah, which of these features are you going to put it into, and we'd love to see them all. I'd love to.
Yeah.
Wow, we've got so many ideas. We've got a list of features and ideas that we regularly review and think of. But yeah, video is definitely something that is popular. It'll get more
Hmm.
popular as over the years as more and more people get into planetary imaging, because it's something that people like to do.
Yep.
So the ASIAIR will that'll develop further
Yeah.
in terms of those planetary features. Of course, solar imaging as well. That's the other thing. You could use the ASIAIR for as well. So that's something else that people enjoy.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, and there's always a clamber. For 10 guys over here want this. There's 100 guys over there want that, and
Yeah.
it's like, okay, can't please everybody with every feature all in one
Your
go.
favorite
But
feature. And to
yeah,
your
we do
point,
it. Yeah,
with this small little footprint, this small little device, you to your point, you can't do everything. There's only
no,
there's only so much
that's
that
why
you can carry.
you run out of processing platform, and then you're into the next thing is then you're into large scale processing platforms like Nooks, and that
Yeah.
was that's purposely been steered away from, because you have a platform with the Pi that is relatively low power. If you stand alone on its own, it's only when you start adding all the complexity of astro imaging with focuses and dew heaters and cooled cameras that the power consumption starts to creep up. But if you're doing driving a DSLR with a wide field rig out in the paddock, um, then yeah, the ASIAIR has got a relatively low footprint in terms of power consumption. But
Gotcha.
yeah, it can't be the master of everything. It's just impossible. But we try to choose the best features that would suit as many people as possible. And if I gave you I had this discussion with someone the other day, and I said, okay, so, they were wanting this and that, and it was like, okay, if I gave you 100 hours and you've got 10,000 people use this, how would you choose to spend that 100 hours? If I gave you 100 hours of development time, you've got all these people who are going to come at you with different requests. Which one are you going to spend your 100 hours on to get the biggest bang for buck? And we
Right.
do. We
Yeah.
ask. What we do is we ask online. We have votes and on a regular basis on the Facebook page. Try and
Hmm.
gauge you know people's thoughts and ideas of what they want to see. But for if you've got something like improved